I think many people live life like they're in the old carnival bumper cars. Remember those? Where you would get in and drive in a circle and smash each other for 15
Oh,
minutes and then get out.
yeah.
I think many people
Sounds
think life is it's a bumper car experience, but that was not what we were designed to do. That was a fun break in life, and we got out with a little bit of a head spin, but life is not a bumper car experience.
Hello, my fellow humans, and welcome to the Multiverse Technology Podcast. Today's guest is Larry Onan, author of Intentional Living and Giving, a leadership coach and biblical steward, expert with over 50 years helping individuals and ministries live with purpose through generosity and grace. Larry, it's an honor to have you here today.
Well, it's great to join you, Justin. Thank you.
Yes. Take us a little bit on your journey, like who you were, who you've become, and how you're helping people.
Well, I might take you back into the dark ages. That's a long time ago.
We got 4 hours. Let's go.
I was born at the end of World War II in 1944, raised in Western Colorado, a nice little town after the war was over. Life seemed to be perfect. The old 50s where everything was just as you read about it in the old journals and seen it in the old movies. But as I got into college or really got into high school, I really became fascinated by the craft of theater arts. And I wasn't much of an athlete, but I loved the acting. I loved drama. I loved debate. I loved speech. All those kind of things were right in my alley. And for 5 years, I knew I was heading for either New York or Hollywood. I just knew that was where my career was going to take me. Little did I know that I would probably get frustrated in that journey. And at the University of Colorado, I realized one day that all of my peers that were in theater arts were all acting 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. They had got so involved in the craft that they could not be themselves. And I thought, this is no way to really live life, putting on makeup and acting like you're somebody that you're not. And I was probably hitting my point of saying, Larry, is this really what you want to do with the rest of your life? What has this got into it? Are you going to act all the time? Are you going to be yourself? And it was about the same time I was having those thoughts. I ran into some engineering students who had no interest in theater, no interest in the arts. They were into all stuff that I'd never understood. And yet they had a joy in their life and a personal relationship in their faith that was unreal. And I just was really attracted to that because there were real people not wearing the mask. And we became friends over the next couple of months. They started showing me how they lived their life and what was happening. And that was a game changer. But I think life a lot of times, Justin, is we think we're going one direction and we're really supposed to be going in another direction. Sometimes we even don't even know which direction we're going. I think many people live life like they're in the old carnival bumper cars. Remember those? Where you would get in and drive in a circle and smash each other for 15 minutes and then get out. I think many people think life is a bumper car experience, but that was not what we were designed to do. That was a fun break in life, and we got out with a little bit of a head spin, but life is not a bumper car experience. And I started realizing I needed to figure out what life really was for me as an individual. I'd been raised in a religious background, and so I had some understanding of what post-World War Christianity looked like. My dad was actually a church planter, but it really was more of a religion activity to me. It wasn't personal faith that I really later found out at the University of Colorado could really be transforming. So that's a little bit about me. And then I never, ever pursued theater arts. I got into work that I thought would be fun. I was supposed to be at University of Colorado, thought I'd be a teacher in drama, speech, and forensics and English. I never did that. I pursued another direction totally different. I used the education, but not the way they planned it. So, but yes, there was sometimes knee jerks and surprises in life that sometimes are thrown our way. And those are not by mistake. If you'll accept the curve, you might find yourself a lot more healthy. Many people have resistance to the curve, and yet sometimes that's where you're supposed to be going. That's in essence and a very brief statement about just where I came from. And my life got transformed. I got into fund development consulting and working with leaders and helping coach and mentor people because of life experience that I was going through. And I learned my experience of management and leading with no real formal training in it, but just working with people. And I spent the vast majority of my time, both 50 years of my career, were all tied up in working with people, working with them strategies, helping them be successful. But that was another surprise in my life. I never knew I'd be going that direction.
Thank you for sharing with us. I love how you brought up that life is kind of like riding in bumper cars. I know some people are still in those bumper cars, unfortunately. I need to
Yes.
exit stage right and get the hell out the bumper cars. But that's what we're here for, to help them understand.
That's why we're talking today, because there's a way to get
Yeah.
out of that bumper car experience. I can guarantee you that.
I was there myself for a while. No purpose, no vision, really any passion. I didn't want to survive. I didn't know how to survive, really. I
But
had to
Justin,
pretty much,
what a lot of times happens, Justin, is when you pull the God element out of life consequences, pretty soon you're only serving yourself and you're quite miserable in serving yourself. You're not happy with yourself. And so nobody else
yeah,
should be happy either. And I see many people today, especially in the
true.
political arena, that are miserable and they want me to be miserable with them. And
Yeah.
I'm not miserable because I've got purpose and direction. I know where I'm going. And, I think anybody can know that if they just make some choices to go in that direction.
And I love how
This
you
is
brought that up.
science.
Yeah, I love how you brought that up because I myself took God out of my life for the longest time. But as I started finding my purpose, feeling my passion, and just working on myself, I'm slowly getting myself back to understanding what God means to me. And something feels different than it has in a long time. Just by putting God back into my life and trying to find Him, it's just something feels more like complete than it has my entire life. And like you said, I've gone through that whole thing where I was in this religious aspect with family growing up. I didn't like it. I rebelled. But, I'm finding my way back.
Well, Justin, there's a real difference. I think people are confused with one thing. There's a difference between a faith relationship and religion. And
Yes.
all the
Yes.
religions of the world are man trying to figure out who God is and perform before God. I don't care
Yeah.
which religion you look at, it's a performance base. So if you got to pray 5 times a day, you're proving to God that you can pray 5 times a day. You believe you're inadequate and you're trying to make God happy with you. And religion is man trying to find God. A relationship, a personal relationship with Jesus Christ is God finding man. It was the great philosopher
Exactly.
Pascal once said, and he was an atheist and agnostic for years, but he said in his older years, he said, there's a God shaped vacuum in the heart of every man, and that can only be filled with the person of Jesus Christ. If you don't let that happen and you try to live life, you're going to have that empty hole and you're never going to figure it out. The empty hole, when it's filled with the right connection, that makes everything else in life important too. So that's what happened to me at the university. I was doing all the religious stuff. I was in the conservative side of religion and
Yeah.
Christianity. Memorized stuff. I knew all the songs. I knew all the routine. Part of it, I saw hypocrisy in it, but it was
Man.
not really me. It was really me trying to perform for my mom and my dad and people around me. And when
Yeah.
it became personal to me as a junior of all places at the University of Colorado, it really transformed the direction I was going. So, there's hope for everybody. Anybody can
Yeah.
find direction, but you sometimes you want to say to yourself, I don't want that direction. That's an intentional decision not to go in the way that you should go. And so you rebel and you fight and you squirm and you fill it with drugs or you fill it with alcohol or you fill it with, success and
Situationship
business. All those things are going to end up being empty eventually. It's just that's a
for
reality of
sure.
life is that there's a hole in our heart. We better figure out how we're going to fill that hole. We're going to be miserable.
Yeah, and I love how you put that because we need to find out what God means to us personally, individually. And it means something to us, all of us differently, but we just have to kind of go on that venture, go on that journey and kind of figure it out. It was something I was missing for so long, and I feel it now. I feel connected to the universe, to people, everything a lot more. It's kind of more empowering me a lot more through my business and what I'm trying to do.
Well, if you know you're here for a purpose, it makes life
Yes.
meaningful. If you're only here to exist, then I don't mind. I don't blame people for committing suicide. I mean,
Ooh,
they've
that's
actually
power.
said there's nothing there. They said remove myself. It's a very bad decision, but I can
Yeah.
understand emptiness leads to making stupid decisions.
Yeah, I believe that loss of a suicide can be very powerful and dangerous. People just not having the right people around them and just thinking that that's the only way that they can end stuff. And it is unfortunate. I've gone through it with some people I've lost in my life. And it's one of those things. It's always a touchy subject. But I'm like, dude, we need to talk about this stuff more. We need to be more open about it. You know, not talk about it. Look where it's gotten us.
Well, emptiness in the heart is pretty usually self-centeredness. And even when a person chooses to commit suicide, as an example, it's a self-centered decision. I don't want to be here. I don't like what I'm doing. Rather than saying, why am I here and what am I supposed to be doing? You just turn the tables on it, and then you can start to find your way out of the darkness if you just make a choice that I want to be out of the darkness.
Who helps us with that choice though? Some people don't have people to tell them, "Hey, ask questions, ask why, be curious." That whole reframe could have saved their life like that. But whose voice is in their ear telling them all this stuff, you know?
Well, and I think that's where those who have purpose have got an important responsibility to help other people think right. You know,
I
it's
love
not we are not individual clones in the universe where we are here to, in my mind, it's God to people, God speaking, working in my life. And then what he does in my life, I need to touch your life or my next door neighbor's life or the gal at the supermarket's life. It's my job to impart what is moving me to help move somebody else. We often think that we're just individual pieces. We're not individual pieces. You know,
interconnected.
it's God to people and people to people all the time. And it's my job, responsibility to be good at that. And when I know I've got a job to do, it makes life a lot more comfortable. I enjoy every single day. I wake up with joy in my heart because even though at my age and I lost my spouse 10 years ago, I've had changes in life, that were not expected. That doesn't change the joy in my life and my purpose. Those are just insultant situations that happened in my life that, yeah, I would like to have not had some of those situations, but they were all molding me into who I should be right now.
I
And
love
I
how you
see
say that.
right now, I'm 81, I'm telling everybody what I'm at. So I probably got 10 or 15 years of more influence on lives of people. On Monday, I'm helping launch a new nonprofit organization to help the Z and the Alpha generations come in contact with faith by an Alpha generation person themselves, a young kid. I know what my purpose is in his regard is to help him launch right so he's successful because I know how to do that. I can help him do that part. I can't
I
do the
love
vision part, what he's supposed to do, but I know I've got a purpose in his life, and that's why he's asking me to help him launch. I think we got to realize that every one of us are here for a purpose in somebody else's life.
Hey, my fellow humans, sorry to interrupt your video, but if you're looking for more ways to protect and empower your healthcare practice, we would love to help. At ITCMD, our mission is to simplify IT, boost security, and support your compliance journey with a human touch so you can focus on caring for your patients. Want to see how easy IT and cybersecurity can be? Schedule a free consult or check out our resources at iteecmd.net. Let's build a safer, stronger future together. Okay, bye.
Everybody.
Yeah, I love how you say that because I always tell people, no matter the good or bad, whoever, when you come into someone's life or they come into yours, you're supposed to be learning something from them and them learning something from you. They're not there for no reason. There's some reason why this person, good or bad, came into your life or you in theirs to learn, to take something from that. And maybe they stay, maybe they leave. But you have to be learning from every single person that you come into contact with and then spreading that word and purpose to help them with their lives. I always say that.
Yeah, I think a lot of people, Justin, are afraid to fail. They feel like failure is a negative thing. Probably the greatest lesson I learned as I got out of college and I started my career, I was assigned a job that was overwhelmingly big. I did not know how to go about doing it. It was using some of my acquired skill package, but it was too big. And I told my friend that, I reported to, I said, I just don't know how to tackle this one. This is overwhelming. And he said, Larry, you've always got the freedom to fail. Don't be afraid of failure. And he said, if you are afraid of failure, you're never going to step out and try something. If you see failure as a part of your growing experience, you're going to learn from whatever you do. So if I don't quite get it right the first time, Justin, all I've got to do is tweak some things and do it again
You're
because my
learning.
freedom, yeah, we learn all the time. And so I tell, freedom to fail every single day. Somebody comes out and I'll say, you got the freedom to fail. Don't be afraid of that. And they're taken back because failure in our culture means that we're put down, we're fired, whatever the circumstances are. No, the freedom to
Yeah.
failure
That's
means
true.
I just need to pick up my pieces, figure out, learn from the experience. And I learned over years that, adjusting, fixing, enhancing, reevaluating, doing it again. And I think people are afraid to fail because they don't know what the goal is out there. So they feel like,
Mhm.
okay, I'm going to fall apart. I believe a goal in failure is an achievement of what my expectation could be and go for that. It's not failure if you don't get to the numbers, if you don't make it happen. What did you learn in the process that allows you to go at it again a little bit differently? So the freedom to failure is a very key part of my whole life experience.
I
And,
love that.
I'm really wanting to help people in my life, not just survive life, but to thrive, and
Yes.
survival means I get up and I barely make it through the day and maybe it's alcohol or drugs that's gonna get me to the night. No, you don't need to go that way, but you can thrive without any outside influence of narcotics or other things. Thriving is a choice that you will make. If you choose to thrive and not just survive, you're starting to aim yourself in the right direction.
I love how you put that. I always tell people they the door closes is not a failure. That door has to close so that the other one can open. You can't open both at the same time. You gotta close one, lock it away, then go through the next door of life.
Yeah, and sometimes it's a very tense situation to learn what those steps are in that journey.
It can be
I know
overwhelming sometimes.
it can be downright scary.
Yeah, you're freaking out.
This young guy I'm helping launch this organization with that he's really feels he should do for 8 weeks, it's been tough for him because he thought he would move to a new town. He was gonna go to get his degree, master's in a seminary, and he thought he could easily get a job. He's always been easy to get a job. He's got a great personality. He's run restaurants, everything else. And, he's gone 8 weeks with no work. Now, every door closed. He had good openings. And then as that process goes on, he starts getting clarity of what he should be doing with his life. So all of the last 8 weeks have been some of the best training for what his future is gonna be. But it
Ooh,
wasn't fun to go through it.
no, that's powerful. I feel that. You gotta be doing the thing to understand the thing to know where you're gonna be going. You just gotta
Yeah.
start. As you start, it starts showing itself, presenting itself to you.
Well, and he'll be more ready to do what he's supposed to do because of what he's experienced in the last 8 to 12 weeks. He's got discipline that he did not have before. He can live on less money than he did before. He
Ooh.
he knows what he doesn't wanna do, and those are the all parts of that are those learning experiences. Justin, one other thing I think anybody that's listening in on us today, I think it's very important that we don't just think in our head things. I'm a strong believer that if it's not in writing, it does not exist. And I want everybody to think about that because when you realize that if you write it down, you can start to edit your own thoughts. When you're just thinking in your head, you're all mixed up. You can think of 100 different things. But when you
Twirl,
write it
twirl.
down, yeah, it's left and right. It's hard to get it going. But when you write it down, now you can hold yourself accountable or you can edit what you wrote down. You can refine the words. But if it's not in writing, it does not exist. So, just an example thinking about God and just thinking about the universe, oh, that's nice to do. But if you go to what's written, in other words, the word of God, now you're seeing somebody speak to you timeless truth that you can't get away from. So you find out that the book that you don't want to get to because it's kind of scary or boring in some people's minds is God speaking to you. Man, now you've got a tool in your hand and it is in writing and it does exist. And now that you deal with it, you can deal with what it says. So even what you write or reading other people's writings helps you catch that. It's not all up here in the brain. That is That's the first step of getting it out. But, when I
I
write,
love
just keep in mind, if it's not in writing, it doesn't exist. I've got an app on my phone that, people can go to my website. It'll be up on it's an app that you can put on your own phone, and it's 5 commitments for my day. And it's 5 things that I will do every single day. The reason I put it into an app is I've been doing those 5 things for a long time. But I thought those 5 things so simple that you can put it on an app. I mean, literally on your wallpaper of your phone. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Can you do those 5 things throughout your day? What that is in writing, it's helping you apply something that will get you somewhere. And I think everybody's got something, but they got to get it down to where they can edit it.
Yes, I love that. I do that on my calendar. Anything that I do or planning or need to do, I don't use a to-do list. Those don't work. You forget about those. I put it on my calendar. If it's for work, personal, brushing my teeth, whatever it is on my calendar, I follow it each day. Not necessarily to the T, because not every day is perfect. Sometimes I might forget or make a mistake and miss it, But yeah.
Yeah, and I do one with to-dos myself, but they're by calendar day, and it will not finish everything on my list, but it tells me what was important to me that day, and sometimes
Yeah.
I will end an hour on the phone that I never dreamed was gonna be important to another experience.
Yes.
Live life with some flexibility, and you've not failed because you didn't get to your 15 things today, but you've
Yeah.
got to say, by writing the 15 down, Justin, now you feel like, okay, I can accomplish something. I can get through half of these, and
Yeah.
I can start to celebrate my wins rather than wondering if I was even existing today.
That took
So
me a
it,
while to understand because I kept having to move stuff sometimes that I get frustrated with myself. Like, why couldn't you finish that? What's wrong with you? But I had to realize how much I already accomplished. Move this to the next day and just do it that day. It's okay. But it took so long for me to realize it's not going to be perfect. As long as
and
you got to
Justin,
celebrate those wins.
yeah, and some things I move 4 or 5 times over and over and over
Yeah.
because I know they're important, but I have found that if I don't write those down, they go into cyberspace.
Gone.
They're gone. And then you're frustrated with your you're feeling failure because you're not even getting the basics done. So, you know, I was raised in a culture that when you get out of bed, you make the bed. And they say,
Yes.
"Well, why do you make the bed? You're just gonna tear it up and get back into bed." I said, "I make my bed because I've accomplished at least one thing today that I wanted to do."
Yes.
It didn't make any difference to anybody. Nobody goes into my bedroom. I'm the one that makes the bed, but I can leave there saying I accomplished one thing in this room today, and now I can go accomplish another one and another one and another one.
I love that. And also, it's kind of like when you make your bed, it's nice and clean. It's not messy. So for me, when like the bed's messy or there's dishes or the car's messy, I feel messy. I feel chaos. So I want things to
That's right.
clean up the life, and you feel more calm to get more things done.
Well, Justin, that might, in my experience of life, I really learned something. And that's what, when I wrote the book, Intentional Living and Giving, it was
Yes.
really about helping people live that life with fulfillment. What I propose in the book is that everybody is an authorized wealth distributor, or they can become one. An authorized wealth distributor is realizing that they don't own anything in the first place. Now, the state of California tells me I own a house and a car. They tax me for it. I just paid the first half of my next year's property tax yesterday. So they say I own it. But in the Old Testament scripture, King David wrote, "You, O Lord, own everything. We don't own anything, and we can yet enjoy everything." So I don't own a house. I am a steward of the house I live in. I don't own a car. I'm the steward of the car I drive. It's my job to maintain it. A steward is somebody that takes care of somebody else's stuff. That's what the word actually means. A steward was a person in accounting, and he knew how to manage property. And so in the old hundreds of years ago, the steward was in charge of land and property for somebody else that owned it. And it was their job to take care of it, to manage it, to keep the records, to know how much fruit and vegetables came off the land, how many people were working there, how they got paid, all those things. That was a steward, and his job was to take care of somebody else's stuff. And so the book I wrote is saying, okay, if this is who you are, I'll show you in 5 different ways you're a steward. And if you want to accept that responsibility, you become what I call an authorized wealth distributor. And the latter half of the book is how do I live that life practically every day? How do I deal with money? How do I deal with conflict? How do I deal with disappointments? We have to live through all those journeys. But the
Yes.
journey it's a lot easier to live with those experiences when you know that your purpose is well defined. So if you are an authorized wealth distributor, now I will help you live that life every single day. It's a spiritual experience, definitely. I'm big on that. But it is a very practical experience in addition to being just quote spiritual. I now who know who I live for, and therefore now I got to do that well. And that's what gets me through every single day. So it's very practical. It's not pie in the sky and it's not magical. It's just very simple living with a purpose in mind if you're a steward of somebody else's stuff.
I love that. Definitely have to check that book out because I feel that's kind of like could be the starting point for someone not showing what their purpose is or how to really deal with things in their life. Becoming that
Well, I
steward,
think
it will kind
yeah,
of help
that's
them.
what it's you're right, Justin. It helps you understand why you were created in the first place. There's 5 principles around being a good steward. It's not just all, spooky spiritual stuff. Yes, you recognize what God has got into it. Then you look at God's personality and he's a giver. He wants us to ask him.
God
He
is
wants to
love.
ask us. So you get into the 5 principles and you put those all together and you're saying, okay, that's who I am. If I choose to accept who I am, now how do I live that way forever and ever? And that's what, it was revolutionary when I came up with concepts with a team of people. I'm a big team player, so I wouldn't say that I came up with all the ideas. I just happened to put pen and ink together and create something, but I had about 6 people working on this. It transformed all of our lives and it transformed how we did everything we did in our ministry environment because we started to see ourselves differently. If you see yourselves as who you were created to be, your life is going to be different.
Ooh, I love that. So powerful. 'Cause I feel that. 'Cause I've been seeing that, experiencing that lately now myself. Just understanding more about my journey and purpose and how I'm here to help people. 'Cause we were talking about that earlier. Like, as human beings, that we forget that when we start helping other people, being of service to people, it feels like the most compassion and love inside of us. And we've all forgotten about that love and how to do that and give it to other people by just being of service, helping people, helping them find what they're supposed to do, guiding them, being that guide, for them. We're really far
That's
from
what
that.
it yeah. And you're heading down the right road just when you think that way. There's a spiritual component of this because we
Yeah.
are spiritual creatures. I
Yes.
think sometimes we think that we are not, that we are just created here, but nobody came into this world by mistake.
Spiritual
There was
beings having a human experience.
and yet it was intended for us to live life as human beings. The spiritual experience was not to be an angel. We all think that maybe there's an angel component to life. There is another dimension that we don't see. It's got angels and spirits in it. I understand that. But for my life, I don't run into them too often. Maybe once in a
Neither
while I
do I.
encounter one. But I was born as a human being. Now, why was I born to be a human being? When do I blow it as being a human being? How can I be redeemed and turn around? Many people need to just say, I confess, I'm sorry, I messed up. Let's do it over. Because I think people say, well, how do you start this? Well, confess what you blew. Just admit it. Okay. And there's nothing wrong in doing that, but you're going to get freed up. I think and then
Accountability.
forgive other people along the way. We're commanded to forgive. That doesn't mean it's easy. It means
Yeah.
that we did a difficult thing and it frees us up. It doesn't change the circumstances. I think a
No.
few weeks ago I watched, and you probably watched it too, the Charlie Kirk memorial
I
service.
did. That thing was powerful.
And it was powerful to many people shocked that Erica could forgive him. That doesn't mean that she wanted to do so. It meant that she was
Yeah.
following a biblical principle that would free her up from anxiety over what happened to her husband. That was all that
Yes.
was. Now he still got to deal with the consequences of his behavior. and it
Yes.
could be life in prison or it could be something worse. That's a legal step over there. But she is now free to live her life because she moved on from the
Yes.
potential hate and discontent. And
I
people
love
that
how
live
you brought that up because sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. I've learned that once I forgave myself, I was able to forgive others. And as I was able
that's
to forgive
exactly right.
others, I was free.
And Justin, many people realize that the reason you can be free in forgiveness is that God had a plan for where you could become free. And he says,
So
I'll take care
peaceful.
of your biggest problem. It's called in the scriptures sin. I'm going to remove that from you so that you and I can have a relationship. I really want to know you. So it's a powerful thing to realize the God of the universe has got that much interest in me. But he says, I can't be around your garbage. So let's get rid of your garbage because I still want to be around you. So when we start to realize there is a potential relationship with the God of the universe, and he's not only wants a relationship, he's got a job for me. He created me to take care of his stuff. And we're back to this concept of steward. I'm an authorized wealth distributor, distributing God's resources to those who have the needs. And once in a while, Justin, that means money. There's over 100 things that people can give, and money is just one of those commodities.
Yeah, I
It
believe you
was
should
really
really
interesting.
give your time to people.
Well, it's interesting. The Old Testament has a verse in the book of Deuteronomy. The book of Deuteronomy is one of the laws of the Pentateuch, and it's the Jewish people's holy scripture, the first 5 books of the Old Testament. But in there, God says to his children of Israel years ago, I don't need your money, but I need you to learn to keep me first in all things. So, yes, I want you to give money because that's precious to you. And when you give money, you're giving yourself away, and that's what you need to learn how to do. So I don't need your money, but I need to teach you how to keep me first in all things. And when you keep that in your mind that he is first in all things, now you can live the life he's planned for you to live.
I love how you
It's
put that.
powerful. It's fun. It's a trick.
It's a
It's a trick.
journey, man. It's definitely a journey. I'm still learning. I know some people may resonate. Some people may be like, where are you going with this? But it all comes to our journey of being a human, being the leaders of our family, our businesses, our lives, that we need to do it out of love. And I'm learning that God is love and love is God. So we need to have more empowerment of that love in ourselves to spread it around us. No matter what that looks like to everyone, it might be different.
Yeah, Justin, maybe I can help people this way. On my
Yeah.
website, LarryOnan.com. The only difference is there's no apostrophe in my name because, are on the website because they don't like those characters to show up in the
Yeah.
middle of our name. So LarryOnan.com. But if you go there, I think this week it will be up and functional again. But there's
Okay.
what they call a personal stewardship inventory. It's available for you to take. It helps you evaluate how you're doing in your stewardship. And when you take that little self-examination, it will even suggest where you're at and how you can take the next steps. Now, with that, you can also download 3 chapters of the book. It's free that way. There's other things I'm trying to create. They're just helping people get started. The book is going to be helpful to them because the book will be a guidebook. It's kind of like, okay, it's my journey advice from AAA on how to get from here to Denver, Colorado. It's a step-by-step process. But more so than that, I just want you to know who you are as an individual and then know how you can become more effective in who you really are. And that's why I created the personal stewardship inventory. It's click on it, ask 15 questions and give it an answer. And almost immediately it'll come back with an evaluation and a judgment on, okay, this is what you just told me. Let me tell you back things that would help you take the next step.
I'll put
Because
that
that's what
down
it's
in
all
the show
about.
notes for
It's
people. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, just that is there, and then, of course, the book, Justin's available at any place people get books. You can get it at LarryOnan.com, but you can go to Barnes& and Noble, or you can go to Amazon. Any place that you prefer to buy books, just find the name
Yeah, we put the
Intentional.
link down in the show notes so I help them find it. Definitely worth I'm
Yeah,
have to go there myself and check that out. I appreciate that. Yes.
yeah, sometimes we all need little prods along the way. There's nothing wrong with a cane if you're about to stumble and fall.
That is so true.
So grab a cane and keep yourself from going over. That's what it's all about.
Larry, I
Life
want
is
to thank you so much for coming on here today. We appreciate your time and spending with us. We enjoyed this conversation. I would like to have you back on here again to kind of go deeper on some of these topics as well.
I would be glad to join you again anytime, Justin. That would be fine. We as
Well,
human beings really need to have coaching and guidance and mentorship.
we do.
And we can learn from each other. And you've got something to offer. I've got something to offer. And the person that you're going to meet later today needs something that you can say or do to encourage them. Be watching for the opportunities that are put in your lap to help another person in a time of need.
Yeah, I'm trying to keep my eyes wide open sometimes. Sometimes the noise and chaos gets in the way, but I have to try my best to read through it.
Yeah.
It's tough
All we
sometimes.
got to do is be aware that we should be doing it, and we'll do it more often than not.
Yes,
Yeah,
that's
and
100%.
there's
Yeah,
no religiosity. It's not doing 3 things and you're gonna see XYZ happen. It's just learning to work in a spirit of how can I be a blessing and encouragement to somebody else? Can I
as well as that
express
making it
the
that second, making it as a habit. It's something you just do
yeah,
like that without thinking.
and habits take practice.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah, so go for it. Have a great time in the journey.
Yes. Thank you. Before we go today, I would like to ask you one last question that kind of goes with a lot of this. And what does it mean to you to be a human being?
It means that God in his sovereignty decided that I should be here on earth to fulfill what he made me to do. I'm not just an animal. I like animals. I've had animals for pets, horses, dogs, everything else, but I'm not one of them. I've got the capacity in my brain that has a soul. And a human being is a person that's got a soul that needs to know why he's here. Everybody needs to have an answer to that question. You got to know who you are and why you're here.
I love that. Like I said before, we're spiritual beings having a human experience.
That's right. Absolutely.
Thank you
Right.
so much, Larry, for coming on here. I appreciate you again. Hope you have a good rest of your weekend.
Thank you very much. Have a great day and blessings on you, Justin. It's been
Thank
fun to
you.
visit.
Bye.
Bye.